Welcome to the Cross the Line podcast. My name is Carlos Smith, and today's episode is sponsored by Floor Covers International in the Upstate on 1460 Emmett Road in Welford, South Carolina. So thank you, Miss Janet Rossman, for being another sponsor for us today. This episode is also sponsored by KB's Car Care on 321 North Main Street in Jonesville, South Carolina. They offer a hand car wash, vacuum, clean interior. Full detail is also available. While you wait on your vehicle, customer seating is available as well as the dining area. They're open Tuesday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So make sure you stop by and visit them. So thank you everyone for being the sponsor of the Cross the Line podcast. This is the first episode of the Self-Investment Tour 2021.
Whoop, whoop.
We have a very special guest with us today. She's very lively. I love her energy already. It's been a joy and a pleasure to be sitting right here with her today. She's a serial entrepreneur. And right now we have Miss Camillya Masunda with us today.
Hi guys. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, absolutely. It's been an honor and a privilege. Like I said, you're the first guest for the 2021 episode.
Hey.
So, we got to start this off with a big bang. But it's like I said, just this whole tour, this whole journey has been a blessing. Like I said, you as an entrepreneur, you know how it is as well.
Exactly. Just coming out of COVID, just understanding how much work we're putting into our businesses and our vision to stay, above ground and stay moving. I love what you guys are doing, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity this evening.
Absolutely. Like you said, with COVID, it kind of put a strain on a lot of things. For us, it's tough because we haven't done any interviews over Zoom, like we were saying. We don't like to do Zoom. We like to, be face to face.
It's nothing like being personal. Yeah. If you do Zoom because you have to, that was an error. But everybody's looking to get out and about and be able to discuss our dreams and who we are and do what you guys do. Let everybody's light shine. So I'm excited to be the first guest of 2021.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a very special episode, so hopefully everybody enjoys it. But starting out, for people who don't know, if somebody walked up to you and asked, who is Camillya Masunda?
What a question. So Camillya Masunda is a mother. I'm a daughter, and I'm a wonderful friend, a community lover, a community supporter, and I am a serial entrepreneur. I am the founder and CEO of Ebony Wine Spirits. We celebrate Black unity and culture around the globe through our wine and through innovating wine to take it into the next century of the new wine lovers, and still connecting to the people who have been wine connoisseurs for a long time but love wine. But you got to keep moving things, revolutionizing things and making sure that, hey, we stay up with the time, and Ebony Wine and Spirits is the new era in wine.
Absolutely. Ebony Wine and Spirits, how long have you been in business? I believe, was it last year? When was it started?
Yeah, so actually it'll be a year in September. Everybody thinks we've been in wine longer, but no, I started working on Ebony Wine and Spirits probably in 2018, but officially becoming a business and officially getting things launched and off the ground in 2020 during COVID. And I was supposed to launch a little sooner, but I had to pivot instead of panic, and we launched in about September of last year, and it's been a full, fast, speedy road.
Mm-hmm. Of all the businesses as an entrepreneur, what made you decide to, go into the wine industry?
Well, one, I fell in love with wine when I was in college. It didn't actually seem like a place something that I could do, but I definitely love a challenge. And then just traveling to different places, trying wine, and then having so many different experiences, and then just developing a love for it. I always tell people that I'm a student of wine. So as much as we're coming up with different varietals, which means different types of wine, I'm studying the people, I'm studying the wine, I'm going to different places in different regions, trying to make sure that we come up with something that our consumers will love. And so really just falling in love with wine and seeing the lack of representation in wine, but also wanting to tell the story that hasn't been told about where Black people already exist in wine.
Mm-hmm. And I saw that online in the article. It said less than 1% of wineries in America less than 1% are owned by Black women. When you saw that, was that something that kind of even motivated you even more to step into that space?
Definitely. In 2021, I mean, come on, it shouldn't be pretty much anything that should be 1% owned, you know?
Right.
And so to see an industry that we are deep, consumers in, but still see a 1% representation is terrible to me. So, but it also is a catalyst for me to say, hey, what can I do to change these things? But also, what am I going to do and charge myself with doing to make sure that our next generation has tremendous opportunities and keep them from being the 1% within the wine industry?
I'm always fascinated with entrepreneurs, kind of like their backstory of how did they get to where they are? Because a lot of times when we see things on TV, we only see the finished product, and we never know the story of like how this person got to where they are. So for you, kind of like your backstory, like where are you originally from, and like did you come from a family of entrepreneurs?
Okay, I definitely did not come from a family of entrepreneurs. I am a first generation entrepreneur within my immediate family. Well, I can't say that. My mother is my business partner in our other business. We own an Afrocentric Child Development Center here in Charlotte, North Carolina. With that being said, we call it our mini HBCU. It's from infants and toddlers to school age children, where we nurture, teach, and provide a safe environment that teaches them and educates them on who they are, history, from language, from all cognitive development skills. So I think she's my partner in that business. Mm-hmm. But as far as stepping out on my own, I would consider myself a first generation entrepreneur. And that really means a lot to me because understanding how important it is to have something and to leave a legacy when it comes to not only your family but to other children that you and the community that you work with. It's very important as an entrepreneur to have that lasting legacy, but also be known for not just wine or not just me being a serial entrepreneur, but being truly known for being invested in the community that has done so much to serve me.
Absolutely. And was it anything in particular that made you say, you know what, I don't want to do the traditional, 9 to 5, because a lot of times.
Oh, I do a traditional 9 to 5.
Oh, you still do as well?
No, I'm just joking.
Oh, okay. I thought you said I thought you were still doing that traditional 9 to 5. Okay.
Yeah. So when you come into, I don't know why people, when you come into entrepreneurship, they really don't look at things as 9 to 5 because you're really doing a 24/7.
It is.
It's not. Entrepreneurship is not. You're lucky if you get to go to work from just 9 to 5 because
right.
At 9 you clock in.
It's actually
at 5
harder.
You clock. It's extremely harder because before you clock in, 9 times out of 10, I got to make sure that everything, my team and me, we're making sure that everything is going to be set up and done properly so that it runs from you to come in at 9. And even when you leave at 5, everything still has to have checks and balances. So with entrepreneurship, especially serial entrepreneurship, you're constantly, you're going to be constantly on the grind, constantly working to make sure that these businesses and, these people, because now you're responsible for so many different other livelihoods. As an entrepreneur, you're responsible for everybody who works for you, because if it doesn't go right, how are you going to pay the people who work for you?
Exactly.
So not to say that I have a 9 to 5, I have a 24/7, but when you love what you do, it doesn't even feel like work.
Right.
Like I absolutely love every business that I have. Is something that stands out to me, is something that means so much to my heart. And it's something that I feel as if I serve the community in doing. Even in wine, people would say, how do you serve the community in wine? Because at the end of the day, I'm really letting people know that this is possible. It's one thing to just have a business. It's another thing to give hope. Mm-hmm. And for someone else to be able to see you and say, hey, you did it. I believe that I can do it.
Absolutely. And just by you saying that, it reminded me of something one of my mentors, one of my great friends, Ben Hall, said. He said, as an entrepreneur, he feels as if every business that you have kind of serves as a ministry. Because it pulls everybody together, and then you just fulfill them. And it's always something like your gift will bring people together. And he said that's just how, he bakes cakes. Mm-hmm. And he's done a lot of things, worked a 9 to 5. He played professional ball, and then he came back home, worked a 9 to 5, and started baking cakes. But he felt that, with him baking cakes was like that ministry that brought so many people from so many different cultures together.
Right.
And it's one of the beautiful things about being an entrepreneur.
Exactly. I totally agree with your mentor.
And you said something that was earlier that was kind of interesting as well. You were talking about your team. Like, as an entrepreneur, for people listening, how important is that to surround yourself with the right team?
Listen, the one thing I've learned in entrepreneurship, with things that I've lacked, I'm a student in everything that I do because I'm always studying and learning how to get better. Not having a team keeps you stagnant it keeps you may have a business, but if you're looking to create an enterprise or something that is going to be lasting and impactful, then having the right people around you who see where you're going, who get that this is bigger than me. It's no one in this business. I know on my team, and with Ebony Wine Spirits, even with our other businesses, there's nobody bigger than the business. You know, you have the quarterback, but what's the quarterback without the team?
Absolutely.
And what's the team without the coach? When it's time to you need people to make the plays, you need people to run the plays, and you need the team to come together to make sure we have we can't play without everybody. And
Absolutely.
so to have the team is to have, that's what really creates generational wealth. When you have all like-minded individuals who are just as driven as you and just as focused and determined as you, then you're a powerhouse. I think that's where we often lack when it comes to entrepreneurship, is understanding and then being able to implement, having those proper people around you so that your vision stays impactful but stays flourishing.
Absolutely. And of course, with your vision, it's your vision for you. And they might not see things the way you see it, but it's still important to have them around, because they still might be better at certain things than you are in a certain point. So they can tell you how it is and keep you straight. And you always need those people around you in your corner. But of course, because entrepreneurship at times it's like a lonely journey, and you can drive yourself insane sometimes when you just so locked in, and it's like you feel like you don't have anybody to talk to at times.
Oh, definitely. I always tell my team is an absolute gift. Even today, I would be lying if I said that our journey, or this being in this wine journey, it does sometimes get overwhelming. I think people can, you see the Bel Airs, you see the Browns, you see so many different things, but they're not, a lot of people don't talk about the heavy road of, hey, like today I don't feel like I gave 110%, or, the imposter syndrome, or different things like that. And you need your team, because they are the ones whose arms are going to carry you, in those times. Even my partner today, he's just telling me like, hey, like you're doing more than enough. You're doing amazing. You got this. Like, so just having people around you who are going to have your back, who are going to carry you when you may be overthinking something, which oftentimes, we do. I know I do. So just having people there to encourage you and uplift you is very powerful and very beneficial in entrepreneurship.
And you, like you said, you need those people, because like I said, I overthink things at times, and I hadn't even told my buddy Cal, my partner, man, it was back right around my birthday. I was still trying to brainstorm and trying to figure out this tour and everything, and those guys hit me like, hey man, let's just go out for your birthday and just like get you out a little bit. Because a lot of times for me personally, like I don't really go out a lot. Like I'm so locked in and trying to build something for everybody, and just inspire people that I'm like, man, what's next?
Oh, that's the entrepreneur in you, because you want more. You're striving for more.
Absolutely. And I wrote my book. My book just came out back.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Congratulations!
I wish I had one of my books with me. I would have gave you one, but I'll make sure. I promise you, I'll get you one.
Please do.
I promise you, I'll get you one.
Please do.
But my book was released back in March, actually on my birthday, March 23rd, and we celebrated the book, had a book signing and everything, and probably for maybe like a day or two, I was like happy about it and everything, which I still love my book. But then next thing I'm just like, all right, what's next?
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's called being hungry. And there's nothing wrong with striving, but also what I've had to learn is that you still have to take a moment to give yourself that joy, that celebration of what you're doing. You know how many people every day say, I'm gonna write a book, never do it. So to sit down and to take your thoughts and be able to implement them in book form, edits, and all those things that bring a book to life, that's very powerful. And even you as a Black man, understanding what you did and what you're doing is just so more than powerful. It's inspirational, and it's going to be, the story that other young Black males are going to see and really say, you know what, because he did it, I can do it too.
Right. And I tell anybody, I actually wrote that part of that in my book. It's like, I'm not better than anybody. I'm not the most athletic. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I just had a vision of what I wanted to do. I locked in on it, and I just got it done. It was about a 3-year process.
It still takes self-discipline, and that's what you had to do.
You got to have that discipline. And for me, and I'm going to ask you about it as well, because for me, I always say, if to me, it feels like as an entrepreneur, it's always a certain point. It's like something maybe kind of like a breaking point where you say, you know what, something's got to change, and I want to do. I'm going to lock in and do what I said I'm going to do. And for me, that point was, and I said all the time, was just working 2 jobs and, you know, trying to pay student loans and all these bills, and I just felt like a robot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, you know what, I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to quit my job. And I quit my second shift job, and I went home, and I started writing. And I was like, that was the beginning of just that process of just working 2 jobs and going back and forth, just feeling like a robot. And so for you, was there any particular point, like maybe like a low point or anything that actually just pushed you towards entrepreneurship?
I would say, and I'm not going to say a low point, but honestly, people don't know. I've been an entrepreneur since I graduated college. I started being an entrepreneur even when I was in college. You can go back on my Instagram. I remember the first pair of earrings that I posted on Instagram and was selling. I've always wanted to sell something, create something, have a service. So it's not so much it's not so much something that pushed me to do it. It was just always the aspect of wanting more. I had my daughter when I was 15, so just always, you know, thinking to myself, I gotta show up, I gotta be more, I gotta strive, like she's gonna see me. What am I gonna have to give? What am I gonna have to give her? What type of inspiration am I gonna be for her? And I've always said to myself, when they ask my daughter, who is your inspiration? Who's your role model? You know, they always ask children, like, who's your role model? And gosh, you know, that's her. A lot of kids don't say their parents. And, you know, that's hurtful. I needed her in my head. I've always wanted her to say, my mom is my role model. Not just because I'm her mom, but because, like, I go to get it in everything I do. Like, I'm striving for it in everything I do. And that she really genuinely sees, like, hey, they don't work harder than my mama. Like, my mama work hard. My mama, like, she really loves what she do. She's really invested in her community. She loves her business. Like, she goes to get it. And I just always wanted her to look at me like that. So whether it's us having or us lacking in material, I've always had this vision of what I want for her, but also always working with children and then wanting to be this person for them. You know, it's a different feeling when you can say, I can give you this scholarship. You know, even just simple things for me in my community, you know, seeing so many little brown kids with all these talents, you know, how little boys they can flip naturally, like gymnasts. They can just flip off, swings off of anything. They've never had a class. They've never had anything. But what if, you know, we had entrepreneurs who truly fully invest in their community? I'm not telling you to put every dime just into their community, but understand us together putting a certain percentage back into our communities to create opportunity. We can alleviate a lot of problems that are within our communities by making sure that we are of service, that we have different programs and different campaigns that are literally pretty much like your tithes. You gotta pay this in your community. Absolutely. Because these are the same people who help you. These are the programs that help you. And so you have to keep these programs going on. So what if that little boy who we saw do that one flip, now we invested in him, now they have money, we have transportation to get him to an actual gymnastics class. You know, we got the next gold medalist right here.
Absolutely.
You know, whether it be sports, whether it be STEM, no matter what it is, but your goal within entrepreneurship can't just be selfish. You know, it just can't be for you. So just going back to your question, really for me, I don't know, I've always had people who invest in my life. I've always been in so many different programs, just coming from where I come from in neighborhoods and different things like that. And then just feeling like I have to be more, I have to do more. And I can even take time where I was in like a sandwich shop and this man walked past. He said, I remember you said, you used to always talk about what you was going to do. I remember you said, girl, you did that too. You did everything you said you was going to do. So it doesn't matter if you're working at McDonald's, if you're working at Burger King or wherever you're working. I'm always in my mindset, I'm going to be the best at wherever I'm at. Absolutely. I've never had the mindset of, I don't own this, or, they ain't paying me for this job. That's not my mindset, because everything like that is training. Anything that you're doing,
stepping
any
stone.
of those jobs, but it's training. You can't, how are you running a business and you've never been in a position of a worker? Therefore, I don't even know what to provide for them. How can I provide the right environment and the resources that they need to do the job for our company to help us build? So anything like that is truly a stepping stone for you, but it's also your training. It's okay I think we've kind of got up this thing like, I'm never working for anyone, but I'm thankful for any and everybody who gave me an opportunity to work or let me intern, whether it be to sweep your floor or stack these books. Certain things teach discipline. Certain things teach you what to do and how to handle these situations when it becomes your turn. And without those things, as in skipping steps, there's no way to be prepared for the top spot. How can you get to the top spot if you don't know you should know. I believe in entrepreneurship, you need to know every player's position.
Absolutely.
Because you never know that when you're going to have to step in.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, that's for me, I believe that's one of the biggest misunderstandings with entrepreneurship is you say when people say they don't want to work for anybody. For me, it's like you're always serving somebody. You have to serve the people, help somebody out. For instance, like if you have a restaurant and you have people come in, they want to eat, you can't say I don't work for you. Like if they say they want this to eat, you have to go get it for them. So you're still serving them in a certain sense. You see what I'm saying? It's not like
Exactly.
It's like you have to serve people, and I feel like that's where you get your blessing from. Anyways, like when you pour into other people and you serve people.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with service.
Yeah, you can't go into that with that mentality of like I don't want to ever work for anybody. If we were that same way, like hey, we don't want to talk to them. Like what would we have?
Exactly.
Part of what we're doing now is sitting down and having these conversations, and I can't be like hey, I don't want to talk to you. Like what?
Right.
What sense would that make?
Or maybe your business is not, people feel like your business or your podcast is not a certain status or a certain level, so I can't talk to you. I think that's probably one of my biggest things of why I want to give all podcasts, if I can make the time, I want to give you all, give all podcasts an opportunity. I'm excited to work with businesses. I'm excited to celebrate my wine, but I want to celebrate other wines too, because there's no store that you can go into when it's wine on the shelf and it's just one wine.
Right.
Because 9 times out of 10, if I buy yours, especially black-owned wines and black-owned businesses, if I buy yours, I want to buy all 5. I want to buy all 10 because I want all of them sitting on my shelf.
Exactly. It's like we have to support each other. And like you said earlier about pouring into our communities, why do you think for some reason, not saying that we don't do it, but it seems like we have a little bit harder time in our community supporting each other as like when we see other communities like they like I remember having this conversation with a guy at work. He's Russian, and I said, hey man, how does your community do? He said, man, what we do is we don't spend above our means. Like he said, we'll live together, we'll support each other, and we'll pass things down in our family. So that's how we keep everything, and that's exactly what he said. But for a lot of times in our community, for one, we don't really already have those resources, but at the same time, if we do have the opportunity to support each other at times, we may not always necessarily support each other because we feel like we're competition to each other. So why do you feel like at times we may not support each other as much as we should? Okay.
Well, one, I speak in terms of affirmation. I speak over my community when it comes to that. I surround myself with only people and businesses and just energies that are supporting our community, that are showing love, that are celebrating each other. Right. Anything outside of that, I believe that's either you're dealing on a self level of what you're struggling with personally, of why you're not supporting anything. I don't think that's just because you're a brown or black person, however you identify. But you also have to understand systematically how we've been trained and what's been done in our communities so that our dollars don't return to our communities. If you understand Tulsa, if you understand the many communities that where we had our dollar circulating, when we put our dollar in our community, it would circulate for over a year before it stepped out of our community, because we had the grocery store, the barbershop, the dentist, the doctors, all of these things within our community. And you have to understand of what was done in our community to make us go outside of our community. So we had to. And so it's really understanding, unlearn and relearn. And then just like today, I believe that we have an explosion of millennials, even Gen Xers who understand, and then our children, Generation Z, who understand that, hey, it has to be no other way. We are fighting to put our dollars in our community. I can't talk to a group of Black brothers and sisters and they're not talking about spending with each other and being deliberate, from where I get my hair done to where I go to my dentist to where I go to my pharmacy, you name it. Everything that I do, I'm not only teaching myself to do that, I'm teaching my children to do that. So the first thing they say, oh, is it Black owned? Because they know that only way out is that if you can't find no other way, and it has to be a religious thing that we do, not defensive, or not like negative to anybody else, but I have a duty to my community first. And that's just bottom line.
Absolutely.
Even when it comes to grants, when it comes to scholarships, and when it comes to opportunities for me. My first job was House of Africa. My first internship was Judge Shirley Fulton, a Black woman. From down the line to my first mentors, I went to a HBCU. So everything down the line, it has to line up this way, and it has to line up this way deliberately. And it's not, again, back to your question, it's not so much of why this happened. We know why it happened. We know what was done to us. So, but we don't get to dwell there. It's about what do we do to ensure that things are changed from here on out, because we deserve the opportunity, just like Russians, just like Italians, just like Jewish people, to make sure that dollar stays in our community to preserve the livelihood of our families and our people.
Absolutely. And I think that's so important. Like you say, kind of like it was kind of ingrained us in a sense. But like, and one of the things I wish, honestly, like when I say things about college and stuff, I kind of wish I would have went to a HBCU just to be around.
Yeah, everybody who didn't go to HBCU, which is they went to HBCU. But it's okay.
And it's one of those. But it was one of those things which.
Listen, we don't
negative things about HBCUs, and
that's an unlearn and relearn type of thing too. I know with my daughter just going to getting into college, and she had a lot of opportunities in a lot of places. Her dad works for a space company, I guess that's what you call it. But she was going to get a full ride off the sense of for her academics and for who he worked for as an engineer. And, when it all boiled down to it, I kind of bagged off, and it was just her decision, what you want to do. But when she came to me and said, Mom, I'm going to A&T State University, majoring in software engineering, I couldn't do nothing but turn flips, because at the end of the day, you want to know that all the investment that I put into my child, she's ready to give that back. And I want her, just having her to go where people are going to nurture her and love on her. So it does mean something. I would never knock anybody who went to any other university, because at the fact that you chose to go to college, that you chose to educate yourself, is an awesome thing. But I do have a pride for where I went to school and where I pledged at. So it's just a big thing.
Now, I will say I honestly had some of the best time at one of my best friends. He went to South Carolina State. And that was some of the best parties that I went to, because their homecoming from ours was like totally different. It was nothing the same. It was like night and day with the homecoming. Listen, it was a great time.
I already know. You can't listen. I went to HBCU, so, and even some HBCUs that I didn't go to, but I was there at homecoming. So yeah, it's a different vibe, and I just think it's something different when they go out and they're just prepared. With her, I just want her to be prepared for just her destiny when it comes out, and then to be surrounded by people who are adamantly focused on making sure that she has all the resources that she needs, and she's built up and prepared for society.
Right. I want to ask you, with you being a serial entrepreneur and your daughter growing up and seeing this, were you kind of which way did you want her to go? Did you want her to go to college, or was you leaning towards entrepreneurship? Because I actually kind of got a little bit of pushback about a month ago. I had an article that was written about me, and they had to change the headline a little bit, and it was something along the lines of a single father encourages his son towards entrepreneurship instead of college. So the headline got twisted. So when people were commenting on it, it was like, well, why not encourage both? Why not? It's nothing wrong with getting an education. And I guess a lot of it had to do with the title of my book. But if you read it, you'll understand. The title of it is F School Life is Your Best Teacher, and on the cover of it is me and my son, and he's holding my degree. So it's like, why is he saying F School when he went and got a degree? So the headline got twisted a little bit because of the title, and once people were reading it, they was like, well, he's not encouraging his son to go to college. And that's not what I was saying at all, especially if you read my book. But for you, what way were you swaying her towards entrepreneurship, or was it like totally up to her?
Well, Lanaya is a 2-time author. We've co-wrote books together. She went to college when I went to college. She was there when I pledged, so she already went to HBCU. So I wouldn't have been surprised if she went somewhere else. But we also own a business together. So when it comes to her and her decisions, when it comes to what she wants to do, I told her from day one, if you go to college, you go to college.
Right.
If it's something else that you feel like you don't need college for and you need a trade for, then we live in a different day in society where all the jobs are not necessarily 4-year college based.
Exactly.
It's tech jobs. It's so many different fields that you can go into. It's so many top fields now, from things like plumbing, things like, so many different trades that are top dollar, more than some of the degrees that people have, because it's so much, it's such a lack of these jobs of people being able to do this skill or have this skill. So their top dollar are being paid to people who can do welding, who can do plumbing, and that's a trade. So I'm never going to tell my daughter, or if I had a son, I'm never going to tell them, hey, if you want to do this, if you want to be an artist and you already got the talent and you don't feel like you need to go, then I'm not telling my child to do that. My child wants to be a software engineer. So sis, I can't teach you that.
Right.
You might want to go to college because I can't help, I can help you start a company. I can help you start a business, baby, but at the end of the day, I also want you to have the education to back it up. So it's just different strokes for different folks. And ultimately, she made the decision to go to college. If she would have told me she wasn't going to go to college, guess what? That's fine. So what's our move? What we about to do?
Exactly.
And I just want her, I always wanted her to know that I had her back regardless of what. It really didn't matter.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I said, with that headline, I didn't want people to say, hey, he's telling his son not to go to school. That was not the case. It just, for me, I was like, school is not for everybody, for one, but at the same time, it's so many different things. Like, you don't always have to go to school to be successful. Everything is not meant for certain fields, you don't have to go for certain things. It just depends on what you're going for.
Yes, it depends on what you really need to study about what you're going for.
And of course, a doctor, lawyers, teachers, things like that.
Yeah, certain things. And it just depends on what type of teacher you want to be. So it's certain things that you go to college for, but it's a lot we live in a different era. New day and time. There's a lot of stuff that you don't have to get a 4-year degree for. I
know you got to get ready to go. Just a few more questions. What would you say is the hardest part of being an entrepreneur?
The hardest part of being an entrepreneurship isn't hard. The thing is, if you don't love what you do, then it's hard.
Right.
But what's hard for me? I'm not gonna say it's hard to not give up, but you got to push yourself every day. I don't want anybody coming to this in a lie. You got to make sure that you're ready to push yourself nonstop every day. Because with that, when you lay down, because if it's what you really chosen for, like in your purpose, when you lay down, it's going to eat at you. So it's not even something that you're going to be able to control. This thing pulls you up in the morning. This thing makes you jump out of bed. You're like, oh, I got to go do this today. I got to go do this today. And I hope you love it, because if you don't love it, you're going to stop doing it.
Right.
So I wouldn't say, I don't really have a hardest part. I have different times where it's hard for me to not be so not excited, but not talk about what I do, because I love doing what I do.
For me, it's kind of hard to just kind of shut things off.
Yeah.
Because for me, my mind,
that's my dating thing. I be trying to not talk about it.
Right.
I'd be like, don't say anything about minor business. Don't talk about it.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean. But it's for me, it's just trying to shut things. Even when I'm with my kids, at times I'm my mind is always wondering what's next. I have that.
I feel you. But that's my favorite time though. Cause I'm a big kid myself, so my playful time is different. My family time is always lit. I love my family. We gonna run around. Right. If you go to my school now, like I told you, I have an Afrocentric Child Development Center, and my kids are, hey, Miss Camille, hey, Miss Camille. I mean, they could see me all day, every day. When I come in there, it's, hey, Miss Camille, they're going to run up, they're going to give me love. But they give me my energy to make me hype. But I love playing with them. I love seeing them. I just love spending time with them, too.
How long have you had?
Since 2016.
2016?
Mm-hmm.
That's what, 5 years now?
Yeah, that's my heart. Those are my babies.
What was the biggest lesson you learned from this pandemic?
I learned that anything is possible. Like, if you can get through it, you can grow through it. And like, it's really nothing that can stop you. Like, this is what happened. We really we really launched during a pandemic, and it hasn't even been a year. So this is what we're coming within one year. This is how hard we're coming. And like, I'm just excited to see. Wait till I get 2 years under my belt, 3 years. With this team I have behind, we're coming hard. So get ready to know our name in wine, Ebony Wine and Spirits. We're coming, and we're coming hard. And we're gonna have a world of people all over the world behind us, coming with us.
I was gonna tell you, we are 100% behind you. We gonna ride with you all the way until the end.
Listen, we're gonna look back at this podcast interview and you're like, y'all remember when we did our first podcast interview?
Yep.
Listen, now then it's gonna be like we want to listen. They're on the top black wine in the whole world now. Y'all remember that? And then we're gonna come back at it as a top, you know what I'm saying, black-owned wine and spirits company. And then we're like, yeah. So you remember that time?
Yep. And you heard it right here on this podcast.
Right here.
How do you think the wine industry is going to look going forward?
It's gonna level up. Like, they're gonna see, they're starting to see now. It's a new game in wine, because now it's so many different industries. Tech is coming into wine. You got so many different types of people. There's not one industry that stays the same, and wine is going to be one of them. So it's going to be innovative. Yes, you're going to have your traditional wineries, but you're going to see a lot more urban wineries pop up. You're going to see a lot more quirky hipster type wineries. You're going to see just a lot of things evolve and change. Because we're going to still look back and be like, you remember when, wineries look like this? But things have to grow, evolve, and they change. There's nothing stays the same, right?
Everything changes.
Everything changes. Mm-hmm. So we're just happy to be on the forefront in an industry that we get to help create change in. And then we're just like, hey, we're going to be a catalyst to this change too.
My final 3 questions. If there was anything that you could do differently, what would you tell your younger self to do?
Oh my God, not to care what anybody says. Don't listen to anybody. They're all wrong. Like they don't know. Their answers of do it like this, dress like this, talk like this, it's all wrong. Do you and be you, because that is what's gonna get you to where you wanna be.
Absolutely. And what does motherhood mean to you?
Oh my God, I love being a mom. Don't make me cry. I love being Naya's mom. I hate the fact that she's grown up and now I have to have a life and be a person just on my own. It's so sad. And what does motherhood mean to me? It means just being a nurturer. Like, it's nothing like having feminine energy. I have both masculine and feminine energy, but my feminine energy, I'm a nurturer and I just want to hold her and coddle her and protect her from the world. Like, even with her going to college, I'm like, I want to buy this property. I want to do this. What if I lived here? How mad would she be? But she's like, no, Mom, go have a life. But it just means just being able to love on someone, be accountable to someone, and being able to teach and provide for her and protect her. There is nothing like motherhood, and I believe motherhood is a gift.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I know I said...
Go ahead. No problem.
2 more.
Okay.
If you had to lay out, for people watching, if you had to lay out a blueprint for a business, everybody's business is going to be different. But for you, and you can just put your own spin to it, what would you say your blueprint for a business would be?
First and foremost, the dream. You got to start with the dream. After the dream, I need you to make sure that dream aligns with your purpose. And now it's time to write down and implement why we're doing this. So now you got the dream and you got the purpose. That is your blueprint. That's the guidelines of what you're supposed to do and why you're supposed to do it. Now I need you to take that, and it's time to implement that into the structure of what you want to see within your business and how does it line up with your purpose and your mission.
That was a phenomenal answer right there. I love that answer. This is my final question. This is like I said, you were the first guest on the Cross the Line podcast. This is the 2021 Self-Investment Tour. So my final question is, what does self-investment mean to you?
That's number one key. That's number one. Investing in yourself and self-love. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. Because you are the mastermind. So you should always be reading, learning, studying everything to build you as a person, to grow you to where you want to be. You can't do that if you lack investing in yourself. So that aligns with self-discipline. Understanding that you're never too old to be investing in you, elevating yourself, because to me, that is like a key component into what your team is going to look like, because the more you invest in yourself, the more you're going to be able to pour in everybody else.
Absolutely. Well, Ms. Camillya, we want to thank you again for your time. We really enjoyed it. This was a great conversation. We know you got to get back to work, but like you said, you love what you do. So
I love what I do. So it's not, listen, they say if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we get out of here, can you tell everybody how to find you on social media?
All right. Hello, world. My name is Camillya Masunda, and I'm the founder and CEO of Ebony Wine Spirits. Follow us on Instagram at Ebony Wine Spirits, on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Just hashtag that Ebony Wine Spirits or put it into Google, and you'll find all of our news, who we are and where we are. Stay connected.
Absolutely. Oh, and the wine, Kinshasa?
Kinshasa.
I got it right.
Yes, you got it right on the first time. So yeah, if you go to our website, Ebony Wine and Spirits, you can see all of our links. We have some great things going on. You're going to be able to come experience Kinshasa very soon. So I don't want to go into that, but I want you to do me a favor and follow, and just support who we are while we celebrate who you are. Thank you.
This is the wine I'm buying now. I'm telling you now, like I said, it's black owned. I'm supporting it. This is what I'm buying now.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate it. We appreciate you just coming on and everything. This was great. And hopefully everybody enjoyed this episode of this Cross the Line podcast. It's a self-investment tour. Keep chasing your dreams. Thank you for listening.
Woo!